Some of them might be kids. Don't overwork them unnecessarily. So get your head out of your asses. So with the rise in injuries, I think it's time we talk about why this is happening. If you see more and more athletes throughout different disciplines are getting injured very frequently, whether they're professionals or they're amateurs or they're youth. Let's talk about 6 reasons why this is happening. First one is overwork. So athletes have been asked to work a lot more than they were in the past. Professional professional academies, youth club, all think that getting more game time is going to help them get better. Yes, putting in hours is the only way that you can master a skill. But the problem arises is when these establishments look players as commodities rather than human beings. Continuing working them for so many hours and so many minutes in the game or training is bound to get them injured over a period of time. The second one, not enough time for recovery. Now, when you overwork athletes, the establishment needs to make sure that they give enough time to those athletes to recover. So giving the boys and girls, the men and women, enough recovery days to make sure that their performance is optimal and they don't succumb to injuries. Now, this is not only important for physical recovery, but for mental recovery as well. Sports is very stressful, so they need to make sure that the athletes are absolutely recovered mentally so that they can, keep at it with the stress levels of the environment. The third one, no strength training or improper strength training. Now, strength training is very important for athletes as well as non-athletes. When the body is put through so much stress, it is important to make sure that they are prepared to handle all this stress. So the preparation comes in the form of strength training. It helps the body get stronger and reduces chances of injuries. And to add to the point, improper training can actually have more negative outcomes than positive. For example, you can't train bodybuilding style if you're an athlete over here. If you play football or volleyball, basketball, cricket, you can't train bodybuilding style. You can't be maxing out on deadlift or squats when you know you have a very important game the next day. There is science behind exercises and developing athletic performance. Again, please be careful who you choose to train you. Also, if there are any people part of any establishments, you are responsible for this. You need to make sure that you vet whoever you're hiring or recommending to athletes or the parents. So due diligence is of utmost importance. Also, make sure that they actually have time to do the strength training. Don't just run them dry and exhaust them to the point that they're on fumes. The fourth one, not listening to your body. Now, athletes are guilty of this. If you feel something off, listen to your gut and communicate it to your coaches. For example, if you do feel something, it is highly likely that you could get injured in the next game or the next 3 games. So listen to it. What your body is trying to tell you. Does it want more rest? Does it want more hydration? Does it want more nutrition? Does it want more strength training? For example, if you constantly feel that you have to stretch a muscle, this means that you are weak in that muscle. You need to make sure that you're strengthening that muscle rather than just stretching it. So take matters into your own hands. If the establishment you're part of does not actually give any importance to this or does not facilitate training like this, take it into your own hands. Speak with your parents, speak with your coaches, try to find time and do some sort of strength work. Or take a day off, rest, relax. Remember, there's more damage to be done if you're running on fumes. Number 5, demand is high. Again, bitter truth. Players, it's true. You are replaceable. If you play in a team sport, anyone can take your spot if you're not performing properly or on the sidelines for a very long period of time. Now, obviously, these things change if you're a part of an individual sport. So let's say badminton and tennis. A few of my athletes in the past have come to me saying, please fix me so I can play the game tomorrow, when in fact they're in no position to play the game tomorrow because they fear that the spot will be taken by someone else and they'll be benched for a very long period of time. I get it. I have been an athlete and I am a coach. I understand that the competition pressure is really high. But remember, as a coach, I would like to choose a player with longevity rather than a good player who is injury prone. So if you give yourself a break and look at longevity as an aspect, you will go a long way. You need to make sure that you stay injury free for a very long period of time so you have a chance of being selected into the roster. Sure, you might lose your spot in the short term, but this is where elite mentality comes in. Get up, brush yourself off, get into the training again, work your ass off and get selected again. This is in your own hands. Temporarily you will lose your spot, but in the long run you will thank yourself. The last and 6th one, this is primarily for the coach. What the hell are you doing? How can you justify treating your athletes as commodities, running them dry? And this I have seen a lot in youth academies as well. I understand sports are cutthroat. but they're human. Some of them might be kids. Don't overwork them unnecessarily. Make sure that you schedule their training and games in accordance to their capabilities and capacity. You can't have 2 training sessions in a day for 3 days in a week without giving them any rest day, or in fact not even keeping in mind that they probably need strength training. Remember, these athletes will end up spending more time on the physio table than on the field. So get your head out of your asses. If you want to give them a good platform to play at, or probably a higher level, make sure you give them the facilities to perform at that higher level. Youth coaches are actually guilty of this. They think that giving them so much game time, so many training is what's required to justify the amount of money they take from their parents. But no, that's not the case. You're doing more harm. And parents, listen to your kids. They might be feeling something. They probably are not making an excuse. It is your responsibility to make sure that they're injury free. And then you will cry about it a few weeks later when they get injured or are out of the game for 4, 5, 6 months probably. So be better. There you have it, guys. 6 reasons as a performance coach I feel why athletes are getting injured more. Like I said, it goes on from clubs, academies, professional, youth, semi-professional, amateur, doesn't matter. The human body is pretty similar. The only thing you need to make sure is how you can manage training workload. Start listening to your body, start taking responsibility, be accountable to your training and your body. It's a gift. So make sure you maintain it, because again, there will come a time you won't be able to play sports. When you're in your 40s or 50s, you probably might be an amateur level player who plays once a week, but then you need to make sure the decisions you make now are going to impact how you're going to be when you're older. If you find this video helpful, press the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If there are any topics you would like us to cover, please write it in the comments and we'll be happy to cover them. And as always, I'll see you next time.